Hello, everyone. My name is Daugirdas, and I'm CMO here at Hostinger. My name is a real Lithuanian tongue twister, so my foreign friends call me by my initials. DJ is perfectly fine. You can go ahead and use that. And today we have a really special guest, Josepha. Josepha, welcome.
Hello.
I was
Thanks for having
thinking,
me.
yeah, thank you so much for taking time and doing this with us. So I was thinking how I should introduce you, and I thought that I think within our niche, I think the likelihood of somebody not knowing you is quite low. But still, I believe there might be some people that do not know you and don't know what you do. So maybe you could enlighten us a little bit as an intro.
Yeah. I mean, here's the thing. Even if everybody really does know me, it makes me feel very uncomfortable to think about it. So I like to introduce myself and pretend that
Okay.
people don't know me. So I'm going to do
Okay.
it.
Okay. Let's do it.
Yeah, my name is Josepha Haden Chomphosy. I am the executive director of the WordPress project. But before that, I was just a person who loved WordPress a lot. I came into this project in 2011 or so. So I've been around for a bit.
Okay, that's really interesting. Could you zoom in a little bit on your WordPress journey? Like,
Yeah.
it started a while ago, right? But
Yes.
what was the tipping point for you?
Yeah. So number one, the first experience that I had with WordPress was going to a WordCamp. Like so many people, so many first timers are like, I did this because of a WordCamp. And it was true for me too. So I lived a state away from my parents. I was just after college and I told my mom, like, I'm coming home to visit you for the weekend because, like, I'm a starving artist kid. I studied music in college. Um, and she said, yeah, you can come down here if you want, but like I'm going to an event this weekend. I have an extra ticket if you want it, which is, as everybody knows, the kiss of death for a WordCamp. They're like, I've got this extra
Okay.
ticket, don't worry. And so I was like, yeah, I'll take an extra ticket to an event. That sounds like fun. I'll do it. So I went there and it was just so interesting and the people were interesting and what people were saying was cool. And I was like, this is going to be a really important thing, this WordPress thing. We should learn about it. And so my mom then learned all about like the SEO and writing part of it. And I learned all about the data analysis and like marketing work for it. And so, yeah, long story short is that my mom introduced me to WordPress. And also at one point taught me how to use it for like in my first moments when I was just like, I launched a site and now I don't know anything. And she just came in and showed me all around the dashboard. Yeah, it's my mom's fault
Nice.
that I'm here.
Nice. So I think it is safe to say that your mom brought you into like WordPress community and WordPress ecosystem by
Yes.
accident.
Yes. Because it was her
Okay.
first WordPress event too. Like we both were going to this WordPress event for the first time. And we both were like, this is cool though, right? And it
It
was.
is. It
Yeah.
is. It is cool. Cool. Thank you so much for sharing this. It's really inspiring, And now I would like to drift a little bit, from the past to the present. And I think you are one of the key people who kind of like keeps the tab on the pulse of the whole ecosystem. And in your opinion, what are the biggest shifts that are happening within the WordPress community ecosystem, you name it?
Yeah, the biggest shifts happening in WordPress right now. Obviously, one of our big shifts at the moment is getting back to our in-person events. Most of everyone's first experience of the WordPress community is because of one of our meetups or one of our WordCamps, and it's been fine-ish to do it all via Zoom during 2020 and 2021, but you really just can't replace that human connection that comes from seeing people face to face and learning about what they did and how they got here and all those things. And so that's one of our biggest shifts. And another really big shift for WordPress as a whole is our new focus on providing learning material directly on WordPress.org. It's been a very long time since we really tried to do anything like that directly on the site. And so those are a couple big shifts that are on my mind a lot. And then probably another one of our big shifts that I keep on my mind a lot is that we have a new flagship event joining joining the WordCamp lineup next year. And I always am so anxious for the first one of those every time. So
Yeah, are you talking about WordCamp Asia?
yes.
Oh,
Yes,
yeah.
that's the one.
Yeah, we are thrilled about it. We are thrilled about it. And you mentioned the shift from online events to live events. It's just mind blowing. I just wanted to reiterate on that because me, myself, and we with Hostinger, we joined kind of like actively, and we started participating, kind of making our first steps during the pandemic.
Yes.
And we just went to our first WordCamp in Europe as a sponsor.
Yes,
And the
I stopped by
whole
the booth.
experience,
It was so fun.
yeah, it's totally different experience. And I would encourage everyone to try to participate in live events. Still, we have to be really cautious about it. And it's a huge challenge, I suppose, for the whole people that are organizing it. And we thank them for them. But still, it was the whole next level. And I'm not sure whether it happens like that every time, or was it because everyone was just really tired, from the, screen to screen communication?
Oh, do we always have a lot of people and everyone's super excited to see each other? That part?
Yeah.
No,
Yeah,
that happens
exactly.
literally every time. Yeah.
Okay.
There's always screaming and hugging and crying. It's just a lot of happy emotions. WordPressers love to hang out with other WordPressers, and I think it's great. So
yeah, that's really great. I really love this. And I know that recently, WordPress 6.1 is kind of like a hot topic as well. What's your take on that? Are you working on it? Are you taking kind of community perspective on that?
What areas are you hearing are a hot topic?
Once again, the whole echo from WordCamp Europe and Porto, the launch, the excitement, all of the new features that are coming in. And I know that the roadmap and the backlog is pretty packed, I would say.
Yes.
So
yeah. So last year I think it was last year, we ended up with 2 releases in the year instead of 3. We try to keep releases about 120 days long, and last year we had a few holidays and a bunch of people out sick for COVID and family support. And so we ended up with 2 last year, getting back to 3 this year. And I think everyone is excited to have that regular cadence back to it. But also 6.1, will have an interesting new, I don't think version is the right word. So the default theme that's going out with our final release of the year is a new way to do it. And it's a little experimental, but I think it's going to be a lot of fun. I think it's going to be very interesting. So yeah, I'm excited about the release. I also know that we have WebP that has gotten partially in for the final release of the year. And I think that people are going to be excited about being able to contribute to that and move that standard out into other sizes as well, not just the core first sizes of images. I mean, WebP, it is what it is.
Yeah, so the final release of the year is coming up. Yes. And apologies, but I'm a little bit messed up with all of the dates and stuff. So
time is hard to keep track of. I get it.
Is there a date when it's gonna happen? At least a rough.
There sure is. Hold on one second. I don't want to say anything incorrect. I'm just going to go find it real fast. If you go to make.wordpress.org/core, and then.
Because I'm thinking maybe we should add it to our calendars as well, just to join in the fun.
I think so. So our targeted launch date is November 1st. And I'll send you this link in case you want to put it in your show notes or share it around in general. The link that I'm going to send you has all the information about how we're getting the release done, who's working on it. But yeah, November 1st is when we intend to do that.
Yes, please do send it for us. We will gladly add it to our description and supporting materials on the video and audio, because I think it's exciting, and
Yeah.
I think a lot of people are waiting for it, and having this original source of truth will really help.
Yes.
Cool.
And if you have folks who have never participated in a WordPress release, like in the major release, it's so fascinating. They do all of their coordination. The release team does all their coordination in a public channel in the WordPress Slack. And then when it's time to like do the testing and packaging of the release, like there are 2 or 3 people who just show up and they're like, everyone, we're testing everything now. And then and then like tens of people, like 20 people sometimes will show up and they're like, I tested loading from CLI and it worked great. I tested an upgrade from 3.2 and it was good. Like they just find such interesting things and niche areas that you have to test that one person probably would not think of on their own. And so if you've never participated in a release process, it's neat to kind of stop in and watch how it goes, because it's just
Nice.
a miracle of distributed work. So yeah.
So like anyone watching, if you never participated in anything like this, I think it could be a good chance to do it as a nice thing to do to close the year.
Yes. And also,
Cool.
like, if you're thinking to yourself, like, I don't know anything about WordPress yet, or I don't know anything about open source yet, or like if you just feel like you're not ready to do it, one, showing up and observing and seeing what happens is a fine thing to do. And number two, you can learn a lot of skills in an open source project. Like, not only can you learn your skills that are specific to whatever software you're working on, for us obviously WordPress, you can learn a bunch of skills and task-based knowledge that way, but also you learn things about just how to work in the 21st century. You learn about the cultures that are represented and how you best communicate across cultures, and you learn how to write a ticket for a bug that is replicatable by somebody that maybe never has an opportunity to speak to you because they're halfway across the planet. Like, there are lots of skills and things that you learn contributing to a WordPress release that are applicable elsewhere in your life as well. So like, you don't have to feel like, because you're not an expert in WordPress, you can't show up and do anything there.
Plus, you will meet a lot of brilliant people.
Yeah.
Just being around those people and being part of the community is fun already. So you get access to that. Cool. Like I like the way our conversation is moving. And actually, to be honest, like my next question was about the community and how people should approach it and how people should think about it. But I think you kind of covered it already, or do you have anything else to add? Because obviously, like, community is like huge part of the whole WordPress. I think it's one of the biggest unique things that makes WordPress, and
yeah, I like to think so.
Yeah, and how people should think about it, how they should approach the community. Of course, like, they get all of these nice things out of it, which you just mentioned, but is there anything else?
Yeah. So a specific characteristic of the WordPress community that I have observed in my time here is that they are very generous with information, and so like I rarely see in our collaborative spaces, I rarely see a longtime contributor who is just not willing to bother with a new contributor's questions. Like, we all remember what it was like to be a contributor for the first time. And especially all of our like team reps and community deputies and committers that we have all over the project are just such excellent stewards of the WordPress project. And I think that's lovely. But the other thing to remember about WordPress is that we really like to learn and work through things together. Like, the best way to learn something new about the WordPress project or about the CMS or about the events that we do is to show up and say, I don't really know what I'm doing, but I would like to help. Is there someone I can shadow? Is there someone that I who like has things that need to be done that I could maybe help with, and see if it's something that you can do or you're interested in learning how to do. And that is like the generosity of the spirit of the WordPress community as a whole is really heartening for me basically every day. You look out there and you're like, haha, faith in humanity restored. And so yeah, those are the two things that I would tell someone about approaching the community for the first time.
Yeah, like the first point, I really want to reiterate on it from my personal experience, because it kind of is scary sometimes, like to be brave, and go ahead and ask something in a public channel on WordPress community Slack,
Yes.
because there are like 2,000 people, and like you kind of like really want to. You don't want to disturb them, or you do not want to ask a silly question, or something like that.
Yes.
So for me, a really like wide opening experience was in the Contributors Day back in Porto, because I was working with the hosting team, and like I was asking, how I should do this, and one of the team reps, Javier, he said like just post in the
so wonderful.
Yeah, and he said like just post in the Slack channel. Haven't you ever posted in our community channel? And I said no, it's like 2,000 people out there, and I think it's only for team reps, because like there are so many people. And he said no, it's it's the way it's supposed to be. And then I did it, I reread my message 3 times, and but it was a really good feeling, and then my pull request got approved, so it's
hooray,
it was crazy.
Even better.
Yeah, so I like, for our audience and for our viewers, I would like to reiterate on that. Just be brave about it, and because it kind of it can look scary, for the first from the first glimpse.
Yes. The first time I spoke up in a core chat, I had been watching core chats for years. And the first time that I spoke up in a core chat was when I was part of the release squad for 5.0. And it was terrifying. It was terrifying. And there was a point at which I was getting just this flurry of questions, just question after question after question. And I didn't know what to say to anyone because I was new-ish around, and did just announce to them in public, like, there are a million of you and one of me, and I find this very scary. I need you to hold on a second. And fortunately they did. They were like, sorry. Oh, we didn't mean to do that. But also, like, it's hard to know that that's what you're doing in that moment, because sometimes you're just like that one person behind your screen and you don't realize that everyone else is also going to do all of the question things. But I think for folks who are doing this for the first time, like, saying be brave is good, but it's also, I think, important to remember, I'm going to just talk directly into the camera here for all you new folks. Being brave is only important if you have a little fear about something, and it's not bad to be a little afraid of something, but just know that, like, that courage that you bring to saying something for the first time in an open source project is a beautiful thing. It's important for us all to be able to bring new contributors into our work and to share the knowledge that we have. And so, like, your little bit of bravery will open up opportunities for other people who also want to ask those questions and also want to, for the first time, know what to do. And so, like, you're doing a big thing, and it's important. And I'm proud of you for when you do it for the first time. There you go.
Exactly. Thank you so much. And like, even if it looks scary, but like, surprisingly, this is what people like deeply involved in the community already. This is what they are looking for. They are looking for new people asking questions and, just posting, look, I just joined it. Like, can I do something? And it's a
Yes.
good thing.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Cool, thanks. Like we touched a lot of points, and I somehow felt that we are all over the place. But I would like to summarize this
Okay.
segment a little bit, and I would like us to focus a little bit on those people who are considering, participating, considering joining the community, but are a little bit lost. So maybe you could share, like, I don't know, 1, 2, 3, 5 steps what a person just coming in to this should do
Yes.
in order to kind of like be on the right path and start their journey within the community.
Yeah. So I did a podcast episode about this two or three episodes ago, and so I will send that to you all as well in case that will be important and interesting for you to see.
Yes, let's link to it.
Yes. We're going to give you a podcast with the side of a bunch of links. Yeah. So as far as the first 5 steps, that's going to be a little different for everyone, depending on which area you think you want to participate in. But I think one of the first things that you can do, if you've shown up to the WordPress project, you looked around, you've decided that you very much would like to contribute, either because it looks fun or because you feel like it's important for you to give back to the WordPress project, whichever reason you have. One of the most important things that you can do early on is to just sit and think to yourself, like, what is the way? Like, what thing do I want to be able to do here? What is the skill that I feel the most confident in, or whatever it is? Where do I feel called to contribute? And so, like, if you are a writer and you enjoy technical writing, probably you want to land over in docs. If you're a writer who likes to write in prose, you're probably looking over in marketing, maybe in training, but probably not training. They do specialized things. If you're an educator, if you're a trainer, and like you just want to show up and train people all the time about WordPress, training is obviously your place to go. If you love to gather people for specific purposes and reasons, then you probably want to end up in the community side of things. So that's one of the first questions you have to ask yourself. Then the next thing that anyone does is to go to one of the meetings, or most of our biggest teams in the project hold office hours or a new contributor hour where you can show up and just say, like, I'm new and I'm scared. What can we do about that? So
Yeah.
Our biggest teams have those, and I think those are lovely. And then your next thing you're going to have to do is, like, assign yourself something, which sounds as scary as saying something in a channel for the first time, but like raising your hand and saying, I think I can do that. Like, that's going to be your next step. And then just keep assigning yourself stuff until you are, I don't know, leading the project. I don't know what the end of that line is, but yeah.
Yeah, then you just need to have fun and make history, that's it.
Exactly. Oh my goodness.
So it's actually...
have fun, make history. This is my new tagline.
Yeah, actually I borrowed it from somewhere. It's like,
really?
Work hard, have fun, make history. I think it's from Amazon.
Okay,
maybe
good
not.
job, Amazon.
Maybe. yeah, but we can borrow it, and use it. Yeah. Cool. Okay, so it's actually 3 steps. Just decide which team or which initiative you want to join.
Mm-hmm.
Go ahead, sign it up for community Slack.
Mm-hmm.
Go there, just notify about yourself and start working on your first task.
Yeah. It's easy. Like a marathon. Step 1, start running. Step 2, don't stop.
Yeah. And it sounds so easy. Somehow, like, I'm a little bit sad because for me, it was like a little bit more complicated journey. I was, reading the documentation. I was ghosting, the community like for 2 years, just I was like I will just read everything that's happening, I will just ghost a little bit and then maybe I will get confident enough, to say, like, look, I saw there's this task here and I can do it,
Yes.
But actually it was totally different, like you need to start right away, jump in there and take things from there. It's great.
But also, like, if you have an unusual journey to contribution, that is fine too. I had a few teams that I thought maybe I would be a good fit for when I first started contributing, and it turns out I was not at all. And so I didn't have the skills, I didn't have the passion around whatever it was that that I had shown up to see if I could help with. And so like I had 2 or 3 teams that I tried to contribute to before I really landed in the community team. I don't know why I didn't start in the community team. That is obviously where I belonged, but you know.
Yeah, it's part of the journey. So you
Yeah.
kind of can get to know some new stuff about yourself as well, which is
Yes.
great, I think.
Yeah.
Beautiful. Okay. Wow. I was thinking like about the community, and I would like to dig deeper out there. We kind of touched
Yeah.
some of the challenges that like WordPress community are facing now, which is the events, going back to live from online, and that's
Yeah.
huge for sure. Is there anything else that's could be considered as a major challenge or major shift happening within the community?
Yeah, specifically about getting back to our in-person events, there's a big picture part of that that's difficult, which is that we want to find a way to retain some hybrid concept, right? Because the online events did really open up WordPress events to people who cannot travel or cannot leave their homes or just don't have a local community because there aren't enough people interested in WordPress there yet. And so like that's a big picture issue that we have in WordPress as we move forward. But also there are just some basic logistical questions that we have, like how do we continue to find event spaces that are free or cheap, essentially,
Yeah.
because it's been so long since we had to do that. And obviously event spaces have a very different environment that they're working in now. And so that has been a really big question for all of us. We do have a group of like 25 people on the community side of things that have shown up and said, we're ready to help start this program again, give us a full training on how to do it. We'll go out there and help as many people as we can. So like we're trying to really get a lot of people back in here. We're trying to get a lot of our infrastructure back in there, a lot of our tools and systems that we used to use. And yeah, part of that at the moment is just surveying the community as a whole right now to see how they feel about in-person events, how they feel about meetups, how they feel about WordCamps, what we can do to help them feel more comfortable coming back to things. Like there's a lot that we are doing on that side. So if anyone wants to help in any of those ways, obviously we will bring that, they can bring that to the community channel in the Making WordPress Slack, or they can go over to make.wordpress.org/community and offer any help that they have there. But the other thing that is kind of related certainly came up for us during everybody's collective isolation during COVID, is the fact that WordPress.org should probably be the place where everyone can get the open source alternatives to the things that they need in order to build a website, including learning how to use the CMS. So much of our new contributor onboarding and new user onboarding happens at those in-person events that we had to find a way to kind of still offer that while also keeping everybody safe. And so learn.wordpress.org is where we do all of those things now, much of those things now, not everything yet, because we're still working on building all of that, but it's hard to scale it. And certainly it's hard to get all the translations that we need to make sure that we're committing to our global project as we are. I have forgotten your question. I was just talking about the things that are hard in WordPress. Was that the question?
That was
okay.
that was it. Like the main challenges and the main opportunities that you see. Maybe what's
yes. Phew.
Yeah.
Okay. I do have a CMS challenge as well, as long as we're just talking about things that keep me up at night. So related to the issues that we're seeing with the scalability of lessons and making those translatable so that the most people that want them can have them, We have the next phases of Gutenberg coming up in the WordPress CMS, and I think I'm not alone in saying that I am incredibly, incredibly excited about finally having multilingual support inside the CMS. And I know that that at WordCamp Europe, there were a few contributors who were talking about trying to pull together some initial proof of concepts in a feature plugin so that maybe we can get a leg up on that final phase once we get there. And so that is a big question and not a lot of exploration, I think, overall in the core groups that we have working on the CMS. And so those are the things, the stuff that keeps me up at night.
Yeah, like Gutenberg updates. One more item, on the releases to look forward to in the calendar, I suppose. Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool. Thanks. I'm thinking about shifting, to kind of like B2B side of things as well, because like I would like to pick my, web hosting company representative hat a little bit.
All right.
And obviously, like in like Hostinger is a web hosting company.
Yes.
And a big part of our business is directly related to WordPress. Majority of our users are using WordPress, and that's big. Yeah. So we kind of want and already do contribute on behalf of them. And I would just
thank you for that.
Yes, you're welcome. Like, should I say you're welcome, or like, I don't know.
We can just I'll have a bunch of mutual thank yous. That's fine.
Yeah. So it kind of feels natural for us to do it, and I'm really happy that we are now at this stage, of our company growth, and we are able to do it, and we're able to sustain it. But still, since we have you here on this call, I would like to ask, what would be your guidance and advice for us, or not even for us, for companies like us, not even web hosting companies, but for companies, who kind of have the WordPress at their core, how they should approach this thing to kind of maximize on the positive impact on the community and the whole ecosystem.
Are we talking about like how to like advice to businesses who want to contribute back to WordPress, or advice for getting started as a business, or
yes,
for the future
like
program,
eventually,
things like that?
yes. So how to start and how to sustain this from the business perspective, because like I bet there are many businesses, who kind of have WordPress at their core, but like talking from our experience, the whole journey is complicated as well. Like, to be honest with you, it's tough, taking into account that it was like a period of pandemic.
Yes.
And it's complicated, with whom to talk with, how to apply for this or that, is this like a thing for us, or maybe we should take another route, so how would you guide, like companies like ours, or us maybe even, and similar?
Yeah. So I'm going to give some general context to the 5 for the Future concept, and then we'll get right into some thoughts and recommendations about things. So
let's do it.
General thoughts and context for the 5 for the Future idea in WordPress. Number 1 is that the 5 for the Future initiative was originally just a call to remember to contribute from Matt. He said it at State of the Word in 2014, put up a blog post about it, just calling in anyone who had a benefit, who benefited from WordPress, anyone who built their business on WordPress, to give back some of their resources if possible. This was it. 5 for the Future is a very nice, catchy tagline, but it was aspirational at the time and remains aspirational in general. There is also, though, a 5 for the Future program. There is a specific program that is built to be a contributor recruitment and retention program. So the entire purpose of it is to coordinate sponsored time, especially around giving more guidance to future contributors and taking care of that kind of back office work that I don't like to ask volunteers to do. And so the Five for the Future, those are the things to know about the Five for the Future initiative, the Five for the Future program. Any individual, any solopreneur, any self-sponsored person can commit to the Five for the Future idea by saying, I am doing that, and they pledge their time. But for companies can pledge a certain amount of their resources to contributing back to WordPress. And that could be developer time or time working in community projects or on the training team or whatever it is. And there is a page, wordpress.org/5, I think, where you can learn more about how to do that. It's not a very publicized page because we are always trying to balance out like the amount of corporate influence versus the amount of individual contributor influence, individual volunteer influence. And so it's not a heavily publicized program for that reason, but everyone in that program does understand that part of what they're doing is making sure that we are moving WordPress forward, both from a CMS and technology standpoint, and then also from the standpoint of like making sure that other people who want to contribute have what they need to make sure it gets done. And so I guess the first place to go is that page, wordpress.org/5. But as far as like how to get started, you don't actually have to do any kind of formalized work on that. You don't have to show up and say, this is our team and we're doing this forever if you don't want to. You can just send 3 contributors into the WordPress project and see what's going on and if they like it and want to continue doing it. But if you are a company that wants to contribute more time in a way that is focused on either the WordPress project roadmap or sustaining WordPress for the future, then that program is the way to go. We have coming up in a month or two a new part of that program where we are specifically focusing on initiatives to bring underrepresented voices into the project and also make sure that they have just a little a lightweight mentorship relationship to make sure that they stay in the project. I am one of our underrepresented voices in technology and would not have stayed in the WordPress project were it not for people who were checking to make sure that I had what I needed to really succeed here, or at the very least knew where to find it for myself. And so I want to, I guess, pay that forward with that program as best I can. And so, yeah, pretty soon you will have not only the coordinated way to do code things, but also the coordinated way to make sure that WordPress is diverse and sustainable for the future. That's pretty good thing, I think.
That's strong. I like it. So look, just really to summarize, if and I'm talking now to our viewers. So if you are a business and you work with clients who work with WordPress in one way or another, and if you want to contribute back to the community on behalf of your clients, a way to go is to start with Five for the Future initiative, and we will link to it in the description.
Yep.
And that's it.
Yep.
The rest, then you have to keep an open mind, be brave, and allow the magic to happen, basically.
Yeah.
Cool. Look, everything sounds so simple when you say it. Why is that?
Yeah, good question. I think it's because I'm just neck deep in WordPress. I think that's why I make it sound so simple. I do want to be clear, because this is true with WordPress as a software too. Like, for a long time, we said we're the simplest choice, we're the easiest option. And that is true in our class of software, right? Like for CMSs, we are the most robust, easiest, fastest way to get online. That is true. But it seemed when I first arrived here that just saying like WordPress is super simple caused a bunch of people who then did have a little difficulty learning how to use WordPress just to assume that they were stupid or that WordPress was not for them and leave forever. And so we don't really say that anymore because it's not fair to people who are trying to come in and learn how to do this. And so I want to state quite plainly, getting started contributing absolutely is difficult. I try to make it easier all the time. I try to make sure there's documentation. I try to make sure that team reps have some concept of how to help new contributors into their teams. Like, this is a thing that I try to do. And I also know that even the best onboarding process can meet a future contributor at the wrong time. And so your journey may not be as simple as like, I showed up and then I did things every week until then all of a sudden I was a committer. That may not be what your journey looks like. And that is appropriate. That's appropriate. Like, I showed up I was just organizing events and then was like, I'm going to contribute to the rest of WordPress. And it took me like a year and a half to figure out any other place in the WordPress project where I could provide an impact to the WordPress project as opposed to WordPress in general, right? And you should not feel bad about that. Like, once you have decided that you would like to contribute, any length of time can pass between when you start trying to figure out your best team and when you actually end up feeling like you belong to the team. And that's not a thing to feel bad about. That is the way that open source works. That's the way that life works. And yeah, so it does sound simple, partially because I'm just recounting the highlights, but like, I experienced WordPress for the first time in 2010. I organized my first WordCamp in 2011 or something. And then did meetup organizing, which just felt like a local community effort. It didn't feel like a WordPress effort. And then later, when I was like, I would like to do a WordPress effort, I showed up and I was like, where can I go? And they were like, WPTV, which I was a terrible contributor to, didn't understand anything. They were like, go to training. Not the worst contributor to that, but also not a great contributor to that one. And eventually there was a toolkit project, which eventually informed the software that we use to help WordCamp organizers organize their event inside the WordPress CMS. That project kicked off. Like, how can we make the process for doing a WordPress event easier and faster and less effort for those organizers? I was part of that project and I was like, I believe in that a lot. And then I believed in it so much that I then just did nothing but WordPress and also making things easier for contributors forever. So like, but it was like, that was a long time. That my initial experience with building that toolkit was like 2012 or later. Like, it was maybe even 2014 before I really started working on that project, and then started contributing full-time to WordPress in 2015. Like that, like 2010 to 2015 is a long time, and it seems super easy when I say it because I'm just not mentioning all of the things that I did wrong along the way. You all can also feel free to do wrong things along the way. It's just the way the world works and people and stuff.
Yeah, I think we would need a separate podcast just for that. We can split it.
The things I did wrong along the way podcast.
Yeah,
yeah,
and use it. Yeah, and use it like to build the the awareness and to make newcomers a little bit more brave, because look, these things already happen for a lot of people.
Yes. Yeah.
And generally speaking, like, no matter, it doesn't matter you are an individual or you are a company, a business entity coming into the WordPress, you have to be prepared, to embrace the journey, right?
Yeah.
Just embrace it.
Yeah.
Many things will go wrong and some of the things will go right. and but still it's a good thing, right?
Yeah. And it's not for everyone. Open source contribution is not for everyone. I understand that. Like I would love if everyone in the world who thought maybe they wanted to contribute to WordPress or any open source project could show up and have a super easy time getting involved. And then also it just like called deeply to that inner voice that wanted to leave the world a bit better than they found it. Like I would love if that were true for everyone who was introduced to an open source project. But some people, that's not where they feel their time and their skills and their passion are most impactful. Sometimes they get into this space and they're like, yeah, I learned a bunch, but I'm more impactful if I can build houses for people or anything. And so like, it's not for everyone, and you shouldn't feel bad if it's not for you. I don't know. I realize that I'm like, contribute to WordPress, it's important, and also being like, but also if you can't, it's not the end of the world. So it feels like I'm saying both things at once, but I'm not. I'm just I want to make sure that I am always practical about the requests that I make to people and the requests that I make to our contributors. And a practical thing about making requests for contributing to something like this is that sometimes the match isn't there, and the right thing to do is to say to everyone in that moment, like, I'm sorry that this didn't work out, and I still enjoy you as a friend in person. You did great contributions, and I'm sorry that we were not what you needed to feel fulfilled in life. Like that's a smart choice too. So we just got right into leadership things. I apologize. We're not talking about that. We're talking about WordPress, but
like people should at least try, and if it's not for you, then you learn something and you move on, which is still great.
Yeah. As long as you learned something, it was not a failed attempt, I think.
Yeah, exactly. Very good point. Look, we are speaking for almost an hour now.
Wow.
And
it feels like no time.
It feels like no time. And I think time does fly by really fast when you are having fun.
It's true.
I hope you are having a good time, because I'm having a blast out here.
Yeah.
If we could have you just for a couple more minutes, because we went ahead and we asked our clients to submit some questions for you. Believe it or not, we got quite a bunch of those, and we picked the most popular ones because there were some like two major themes, and I would like to, on behalf of our clients, I would like to ask you to comment a little bit on those. Great. Can we do it?
Yes.
Look, okay, so I have those right here written down. So the first one is the following: how to participate in WordPress core development without being associated with Automatic.
Yeah. So that is a question on many people's minds right now, especially if what they're looking at is contributing on the Gutenberg side of things. The primary technical architect around Gutenberg is Matthias Ventura, and he is sponsored by Automatic to do this work. And so it can be very hard to see how to contribute meaningfully there. But there absolutely is a vast world of opportunity to contribute inside the CMS, both from the PHP original core side of it and also the JavaScript future core side of it. The onboarding plan, the onboarding options for the PHP side are a lot more substantial, just because we have been around forever in that space. They have a new contributor meeting every 2 weeks on Wednesdays, which is lovely. It's run by Sergey Biryukov or Jonathan DeRosiers, just kind of alternating. And they are, excellent guides into the future of your contributor journey. And so that is probably your best place to get started. It is very hard, as you mentioned, to just like leap into the thing where everybody's the most brilliant person you've ever met. I feel that way every other day. And that is a great place to leap in a place where you are going to encounter a lot of the smartest people that we have in WordPress, but it's specifically geared toward making sure that you see where good first bugs are, good first tickets are, and help you learn how that process works. The process is similar between the PHP and JavaScript. I almost said code banks. It's not code banks, repos.
Yeah.
And so the process is really similar. The tools are a little bit different, but as far as like learning how to get your feet wet, learn the processes, and then be able to really show up as a knowledgeable enough person so that you don't feel shy or embarrassed, that's the way to go.
Nice. Thank you so much. So, okay, folks, you can start right there. Be prepared to have fun. Be prepared to make history. And if you still find yourselves, excited about this, eventually we will end up there, right?
Yeah,
Eventually
right.
end up working on the core. Nice. Inspiring. Thank you so much, Joseph. I have one more.
Mm-hmm.
I think we kind of like covered this already, but still, I need to ask this one. What can a first-time user expect on his WordPress journey? Any helpful resources, recommendations, etc., to smoothen the learning curve? I think we will have a bunch of resources already in the description, and all over the place. Is there anything else?
Yeah. So, number one, we're going to send over a bunch of links to some courses and workshops on learn.wordpress.org, which will help you get started with not only the new editor inside WordPress, but then also just general how-to tips and tricks sorts of things that people always want to know when they first get started with WordPress, but need to learn how to like set up their server first. So we'll send over a bunch of those resources. There are some that are just self-serve videos or written tutorials, but there are also some online learning spaces that you can join and participate in with other people as well, so that you can feel like you're part of that journey together. But for the first time user experience, one of the things that is most important is that you just make sure that you are comfortable in the post editing area, because all of the interactions with everything else in WordPress will be using that user flow. And so if you can get really comfortable with the blocks inside the post editor, the page editor, everything else is going to make sense as you need those things. You may not need them up front, but choose a theme that feels comfortable for you and get to work on putting content together. That is the number one recommendation that I have for people. It feels weird and counterintuitive to be like, how do I learn how to use my WordPress website? And my answer is post stuff. But that really is, that's really true. Especially now, we used to have like 5 different editing interfaces in WordPress alone. And that is a large part of this work with Gutenberg, is to make all of the editing interfaces, all of the administrative spaces inside your WordPress site use the same styles, the same language, the same maneuvers, motions, actions, like make all of the editing experience feel similar, so that you don't have to learn 5 different ways to edit things in order to get one thing done. And so, yeah, if you're comfortable in your post editor with your blocks, you're going to be comfortable everywhere else as well soon.
That's the way to go. Mic drop.
Done. And again, I realize I'm just like, it's as simple as this. And I know that there's probably going to be some stops along the way. That's fine too.
That's normal. We will have lots of resources ready for everyone. You will get there. It's all right. We all go through this. Cool. Thank you so much. One final question.
Yes.
Will you attend WordCamp US?
No.
Oh no.
I know. Normally the answer is like a resounding yes. And this year my answer has been a resounding no, because I'll be getting married, and I figure that's an important thing to do other than WordPress events.
Wow! Congratulations.
Thank you.
I have a feeling it might be even better than
Yeah.
WordCamp US. Might
I mean,
be even better. I really
there will
hope
be
it will.
cake. So you can't get better than
What else
cake.
do you need? Cool. Thank you so much. Like, we will be there. I will be there. It definitely won't be the same for you, but once again, congratulations to you.
Thank you.
It's a big thing, and I'm really happy for you.
Thank you.
Even though you will miss the event, but I know we'll send pictures maybe.
Yeah. Send me pictures. I'll be so jealous that I wasn't at the WordPress thing. But also, like, if there were folks who heard that just now and were really hoping to like get some time with me at WordCamp US, it's not that I will never be available ever again or something. Like, there will be Angela Jin will be there, and she can answer most of the questions that y'all have. Chloe Bringman will also be there, and if you like have some important urgent things that you really need to talk to me personally about, you can check in with her and she'll get some time set aside for us. So it's not going to hinder anyone's ability to do work, but I had important things to do. So
Yes. We all do. And well, I feel relieved now. We have like a playbook on how to handle things while you are away for a little while.
Yes. Yeah.
So it's like a big stone is off from our hearts. Cool. Thank you so much. And I think we are out of time. We are kind of out of the questions. However, I think I could go on and on and on and on about this, but maybe we'll keep it for the next time. And once again, I would like to thank you on behalf of Hostinger, on behalf of our team and our clients and our audience watching this, listening to this, wherever, whenever. Thank you so much for tuning in. Thank you so much for spending time with us, Josepha. It was a blast. I hope
DJ, it was a delight. It
was so fun. So I hope we will do it something like this sometime in the future.
Yeah.
And in the meantime, I wish you all the best. Be safe, be healthy, be happy. Don't forget to subscribe if you see that this content is useful for you. And the most important thing is don't forget to rock and roll. It should be fun. Have fun, make history, and rock and roll while you do it. So thank you so much once again. See you around.
Thank you.